Hey everyone, welcome back to Play Casket with another episode of Your Turn. And looking back, there was a lot of stuff that happened again. Like, every time we just think we were going to take it easy, more stuff happens. But some good and bad this time, and some really interesting stuff that might come out in the future for, like, possibilities. But let's go ahead and get into the top of that. Like, Nintendo decided to save one of the companies out from under Embracer and bought Shiver Entertainment.
Good.
So, first of all, we don't even know anything yet out of context, but that's still just good in general. Something got saved out from the collapsing tower of Embracer. But the Time Splitters team didn't, so may they rest in peace. They will be back again, I hope. Anyway, Nintendo buys Shiver Entertainment. They are more known for a lot of port jobs. Like, they do a lot of porting from one system to another. They did a lot of work such as the Witcher for the Switch. And they are very well known to make some pretty good work on that. So Nintendo was like, that's mine. And bought it. What's your first thoughts on that?
I think they're rearranging their they're moving their troops for the Switch 2. I think basically,
I can see that, yeah.
To get like, because supposedly they said it's as powerful as the PS4, maybe even more. So, I think they're getting everything ready for the Switch 2's launch to be like, oh yeah, here's a trillion ports on top of like our new games that are coming out. So I don't think that'll happen eventually, because they still have, and they had to make a statement about it, that they have to work out their contracts first before they go fully Nintendo. So that tells me that they might have a couple teams working on Nintendo stuff, but chances are we won't see much of their work being pushed until after those other two contracts or so line up. Okay.
So there's that. But I think you are onto something on that. I think Nintendo fundamentally is being more proactive about getting ports onto their system. I think them getting a very dedicated company who understands Nintendo's internal workings for a system is going to really benefit, because then they will be like, oh, that's a nice game. What is that called? Witcher 4? Shiver? Bring that to us. Like,
okay.
Probably not to that extent, but they'll probably be like those companies that are out there. It's like, you know what? Let's say, for instance, they do like a remaster of Prototype 1 and 2. Now, that game had some hard problems getting ported before from one system to another when they were very comparable. But if a company knows how to fully understand Nintendo's inner workings of their system, chances are they can make that work. And then on top of that, maybe Nintendo, since Nintendo's already invested in those ports, they can also add a little extra.
Okay.
Like we can actually see, let's say, Namco works with Shiver to get a Tekken Tag game or Tekken 8 or Tekken 7 ported over to the Nintendo Switch 2 with a little bit of extra Nintendo flair, like having like Captain Falcon outfits or Captain Falcon in general or something to that point.
Gotcha.
They could probably do something to that point. I think that's exactly what the case would be.
What does Shiver do anyways?
Shiver, fundamentally, from what I did research, they do a lot of like port work. So for Embracer, they would port the PC versions onto consoles or from one console to the other and stuff like that. They do a lot of licensed games from there too, but they did a lot of work for like, they're the ones that were picked for Mortal Kombat 1 and 11 to be ported onto the Switch. Now, that's saying a lot, because they were able to at least get those two games working on the Switch, in spite of it looking as bad as it did. But honestly, those two games look genuinely bad to begin with. And they also were behind the Witcher 3's Switch port as well, which turned out pretty damn amazing.
Okay.
So it's that work. Even though they knew the challenges ahead of them, they still made like Mortal Kombat 1 work. 100 gigabyte game, they still managed to reduce in size, work it around, and still fundamentally make it functioning on the Switch. Gotcha. Which is still, as a gamer, I can understand why some people would be like, no, not touching that. But it works. And that's far more impressive, especially when you're looking at from like a Nintendo's angle. Somebody that's not invested in their system understands their system in a way that they can make Mortal Kombat 1 of all things work, you know? So of course Nintendo looking at that and going, if they knew our inner workings, this would happen a lot easier.
Okay.
Fundamentally, I could see that's why they invested in them. This could also be their ability to grab older games, up-res them, and remaster them, and port them onto newer systems. So, for instance, let's say they're not going to do a virtual console or Nintendo Switch Online for GameCube. Let's hope they don't, because that just gives them an excuse not to revisit those games in a physical format. Let's say they want those games. Let's say the Four Swords Adventure. Let's say what's another good one for the GameCube? Let's say Mario Sunshine. Let's say they make those. I gotta take that one back because they ported their own Mario Sunshine. But games there, GameCube. F-Zero GX, there we go. That's actually a really good one. F-Zero GX, the Star Fox ones, because they were kind of demanding even on the GameCube. Getting those guys working properly on a new system while having the original creators of the other games that they've had and stuff working on new ideas. You know, like if, for instance, let's say they're like, you know what? Let's say the Wii U game, like Xenoblade Chronicles X, can be ported by these guys. Well, Monolith has only a couple headers to make sure that the direction is going the way they need it to. But the rest of Monolith actually is making Xenoblade Chronicles 4 or X2 or what have you, you know.
So frees them up from...
It frees them up from having to port stuff.
Okay.
Similar to, they had, since the internal, if we noticed, a lot of the ports that Nintendo has done, a lot of the ports they have done, not all of them, but a lot of them, that they ported from the Wii U to the Switch were from the internally developed ones. So, such as Mario Kart, such as the Mario 3D All-Stars, such as, there was a lot of work that came from the smaller team, and they had a small team to develop that for that because they freed up on the 3DS.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
They had a team that just had one that just kind of did cycles of just porting stuff over Hyrule Warriors, the 3D All-Stars, all of them, right? That freed up the Mario Kart team to work on ARMS. So when they were porting Mario Kart 8, Mario Kart's team was making ARMS, and then after that was all done, Mario Kart 8 decided to work on the booster course pack.
Okay.
See what I'm saying? So there's obviously a lot of abilities to prepare this company to go forward, and I genuinely see I could see it kind of like a wild dog, just like, Shiver, I likes that game. Bring it to my platform, please.
Yeah.
And it just goes and grabs it, you know? I know that's not how it works, but fundamentally, that's the visualization I get.
Okay.
So what's your thoughts on that? What are you hoping to see? What's your overall, do you think this was a successful kind of business investment, a potential one and stuff like that?
I think it'll be interesting. They're always very calculating in what they do, so I'm not too worried about them it ending up being a dud. But I still think it'll be Switch 2 stuff to where we're going to see a bunch
I don't see them working on any Switch games. I think they're going to be working on Switch 2 games. I think that is exactly what they're going to be doing.
Or just padding out the library for the Switch 2 when it launches. And then they're like, oh yeah, everything's already over here, and it's an even bigger library because this thing's a lot more powerful. So
I can see its first project being them doing the port work to help Metroid Prime 4 transition to the Switch 2.
You think it'll be like Wind Waker? Or not Wind Waker. What is it?
Twilight Princess?
Yeah, Twilight Princess.
I don't think it'll be like Twilight Princess. I think Metroid Prime 4 will not be a game that releases on the Switch. But since it was been in development on Switch for so long, I could see them using them as a leveraging board to understand port systems and get that onto the new system.
Okay.
Because it's also a North American company, and what other North American company do they have? Retro. What are they working on? Metroid Prime 4. Are they very close in proxy compared to everyone else? Yes. That would probably be a lot more of efficient investment to get Metroid Prime 4 up and running on a new system after development for so long.
Okay.
So I think that's also a possibility. So, get hyped for Metroid Prime for all the people who like bad Metroid games.
Actually, if Prime 4 was a launch game, I'd get this. I get Switch 2 day one. So yeah, you got me there.
Honestly, if it played just Switch games, I'd just get it day one.
Okay.
Like honestly, because I'm willing to risk the not drift on a new system.
Yeah.
Then stick with the Switch for a couple more years. Like,
Well-
no, you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and play it over here then. Meh. That, and of course the internal memory might be much bigger because my save memory for all 1,800 games packed out the Switch, which is weird because it's only the save data that I can't transfer over to a SD card. Like the save data is like so small, but I have so many games.
Oh jeez.
It's just eats it all up. So here's hoping for that too, right?
Yeah.
But no, I think it's a very small, a very smart move for Nintendo. We're already seeing some other companies out there already announcing, like we've talked about it before, with Namco making those 2 studios that are dedicated strictly to Nintendo development. Just this past month or so, Square Enix said that they're going to be more aggressive on multi-platform releases and targeting markets that they usually do not, and they've listed Nintendo directly, meaning they were fundamentally avoiding them. If they had to name drop Nintendo, that you knew that they were not focusing on Nintendo. But I feel like financially, a lot of these companies were struggling, and these massive development cycles are just killing these companies. They're like, you know what? Nintendo should be really considered, guys. We should all just start supporting Nintendo again. Like, this is nuts. Especially when you got like Sony, they're struggling so hard to even like get Stellar Blade to stay on the top 10 in Japan. Like, how the hell do you like struggle that hard for a game that's like just that sexy, even with the censorship? You know, even with the censorship, you could still advertise it as a sexy, appealing game in Japan, and Japan would lose its collective mind, but they still can't do it. Nobody cares.
Well, it's Korean.
Oh, yeah, okay. There is xenophobia in the West.
Yeah.
Let's just say that. My bad. I take that back. It makes perfect sense. So, but yeah, no, I think a lot of people. You got people like Falcom even jumping, like they're diehard Sony supporters, and now they even are they have internal Nintendo teams and stuff, you know, like they're not fully jumping off, which would make it would be stupid to just go from one system to a dedicated other system, you know. That just for a company who needs to broaden their horizons, honestly, I could see why a lot of companies we're too late into the multi-platform releases to change. We just really aren't. Even Iwata was right when about multi-platform releases. You're going to water down your experience overall because you're so focused on everyone all the time. And I think he's right, but we're just so far into it that it's basically make or break if you don't have everything. It sucks, but I understand why we just can't go back. It's just we can't. But on another term, since that's such a segue from Nintendo to Sony, let's go ahead and go from Nintendo back to Sony again. Sony had their State of Play this last week. Any first impressions you would like to talk about?
Monster Hunter. I mean, that's
look. That's it. That's I call
that's
it.
Yeah. Well, I'll wait for the most part. We'll see if it comes to PC, but I'm not shilling $500 just to play a game. Like,
well, yeah, dude. Like, people are already talking about the PS6 now.
Yeah.
Like, that's how far we are in the other system. It feels like it's still brand new because how few people talk about any of the games.
Yeah.
Like, nobody really talks about all these PS5 games like they usually do. Like, they usually have when you're this far into a generation, people would just be talking about all sorts of games that are there. It's always Spider-Man 2, God of War Ragnarok, and Stellar Blade. Now,
Yeah.
that's like the only 3 they cycle through all the time. There's a couple others. Nobody even talks about the Dark Souls remake. Nobody says shit. Ever since it's been released, like
Demon
nobody
Souls,
says
yeah.
anything. Yeah, Demon Souls. Yeah, you're correct. Yeah.
It's just so weird. Like the type of genres are just everywhere, but at the same time too, they can't afford to make anything expensive anymore. So it's just like I don't know.
Well, you get 5 teams on one game, and it takes 4 years to develop. Like, what the hell's going on? Even Nintendo at least has some small teams. Just like, yeah, here's a $15 Kirby game that's basically Smash Brothers with their Kirby hats. You know, they at least still have that comes out. They averaged for a good portion of the Switch's lifespan 1 new game a month. No other company has done that. Microsoft has bought all these studios and still have not done that. Think about that. You would think that Microsoft, of all people, after all these buyouts, would have a like more progressive, more patterned, more rigid release schedule. And even they're like, maybe something that's coming out next month. Stay tuned, you know? And then they'll turn around and go, oh, that game was successful? Better close that studio. You know, like...
Well, I think they were... The crazy thing is that I think they were planning on closing it anyway. So just kind of like, well, this project's coming out, but once that's out, we're closing you guys down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, like I said, I think they really did buy all these companies for legacy content and new games. But even then, you would think all these studios... Nintendo doesn't have that many studios that are multitasking on all these things that are taking years to develop. They'll have like 2 studios on one project and they're working on that, but they got like 2 other studios on 2 different projects individually, and one's releasing in a month and the other one's releasing in 6 months, and then they have another team over here. Like, they have games getting released. Some might not be that great. I mean, we've seen stuff such as like the weird mobile game that Pokemon made. Pardon me. But like, they've also had like bangers. They had, every time they had Mario Odyssey, they also had like Fire Emblem Warriors. When they released Smash Brothers, they also had Sushi Striker. When they have some games that are just meh, but honestly, I don't think there has been a game that is fundamentally bad. There's games that are like worse than comparison, like Pokemon. You know, they've been received more poorly than other Pokemon games, but fundamentally they're not all that bad, like in comparison.
Yeah.
And so they still fly off the shelves, and they still got other games that come in. They still got ports of Pokken Tournament. They still got ports of Hyrule Warriors. They have a new Hyrule Warriors game. They had 2 Fire Emblem Warriors games. Like, how, like, they have this whole thing going down the line. Hell, there was a Dynasties Warriors game that was announced at the Sony State of Play. I'm almost guaranteed that when Nintendo announces their next thing, they're going to have a Warriors game too.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, guess what? Luigi's Mansion Warriors. Like, what? Okay.
Well, the thing is that like they don't have exclusives anymore that like really wow you.
Dude, Sony plans on doing multi-platform ports now.
Yeah.
Like, MLB The Show is on the Switch. You know? So, Nintendo literally won this console war by not playing. Everyone else was running their fucking resources so high and their like development costs so high that if you don't make millions, you suck, you fail. Whereas like Nintendo's like, here's a small game that only took us like 600,000 to make, and then like if it sells like 100,000 by 3 years, they'd made money.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's a $15 game, and there you go. Have it edit. Like, hell, they just got an Endless Ocean in, which isn't the greatest, but it's there. But with Endless Ocean, they have Paper Mario. You know, like, they have Super Mario RPG, and then they have, like, they keep having huge winners, and every single, like, almost most of the, like, most of the time that the Switch has been out, people are talking about games. The Sony State of Play, which is what we're supposed to talk about, has no games, to a point where we're literally using Nintendo as an example of what to be talking about. But there's just not anything there.
Like Concord. Like, what the fuck is that?
So, okay. So Concord is a hero shooter. Ew. Concord also requires online. Double ew. Concord also is like this whole thing of representation to a point where everything is also not white or white man, I believe. Which, honestly, here's how I see it, and I know a lot of people are going to be like, "Oh, it's gone woke, whatever." It's a new IP. There was never a position where they had to go anywhere else. It started woke. It's already there, you know? So, honestly, we've said this before, and I still stand by it, is as long as you make a new IP, I really don't care if you want to make it woke. But as I said before, too, be prepared. Your market isn't as big as you think it is. There was a Metroidvania that just came out, like on the Switch, the PlayStation, the PC, that was called, like, something Zao. It's supposed to be a really huge...
Metroidvania thingy.
Yes. Had to be. It was a huge Metroidvania indie game. The director is actually strictly tied to Sweet Baby Inc. And fundamentally, like, it would be basically a Sweet Baby Inc. game, right? It's a new IP. They're allowed to make their own stuff. They don't need to target us. But now they're blaming people for not buying the game because of all the isms. Racism, sexism, bigotry, all of it. They literally are saying, this is your fault this game is struggling to sell.
Well, that's a good thing, though, isn't it?
Isn't that what you wanted? You didn't want us to buy your game. That's that, you know? The game, fundamentally, even with people who were just completely disconnected from all the political stuff, the game did not appeal to a way that was like, wow, this is reinventing anything that makes me very excited. No. Dead Cells did just fine. Hollow Knight did phenomenal. Like, we've had Metroidvanias from indies that blew us out of the water, and it just succeeded. You failed to hit those notes. We are not responsible to support that.
Maybe they have so many assault allegations now that they're like, okay, well, we could make Concord to dodge all the allegations that'll be coming out.
Santa Monica Studios like, we should make this game super woke so they don't catch wind that one of our head directors did some naughty things.
Yeah,
I could see that. That could definitely be a Blizzard playbook right there. But like, legitimately, like, Concord, like, it's full of cringe stuff. It literally is.
The characters look like shit. Like, the thing that bugs me the most.
The characters just don't look appealing at all. And when I say appealing, it's like, oh, you don't want... No, they're just not easy on the eyes. It's really hard to just look at.
They don't look like superheroes. They look like your average person, but they have a gun now. It's like, oh, this is our new hero. And then you see another person walking in the street, and they have a special-looking bow. Oh... Now they're a superhero.
Makes you kind of relate to Syndrome a little bit from The Incredibles. Yeah. When everyone's special, no one is. Yeah. Like, I can see that. I see where that's coming though. But
they got pronouns, so it's okay.
Even the robots, man.
Yeah, it'll sell gangbusters.
But honestly, like, even without that, it's a hero shooter. Like, try selling that right now after Overwatch just destroyed everyone's goodwill on hero shooters, dude. The only reason why Paladins got hurt by it because they were already a small team. Yeah. That was it. You know, that's it. Like, they're the only hero shooter that did not just fail outright because of it. But every other hero shooter, everybody's just like cringing at that. Even people who you would market this Concord game to. Like, you're like, this is a woke game. You should like this. Guys, you're all represented. They're like, it's still a hero shooter, dumbass. No one's playing that. Ew. And it requires a PlayStation Network to log in.
Which also brings us back to...
that's funny. That gets me giggles.
Marvel Rivals 2. Which is also
Wasn't it a mobile game, though?
I don't know, actually. I thought it was a different Marvel game.
I don't know. Like, I glanced at it. I'm like, kind of looks mobile-ish to me. And it's like, that's it. That's all I kind of, like, I shrugged at it. Like,
it's their Overwatch, basically. And
it's Marvel's Overwatch now?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. So another hero shooter? A hero shooter? Look
at all these other ones that tried to take on Overwatch, and they all just died.
Oh, you know what? what the thing is I think a lot of things went into development before Overwatch 2 released because they saw how successful Overwatch was, and they're like, oh man, we need to get on this now because they've probably all missed the battle royale market.
Yeah.
Like they're like they didn't think that was going to succeed, and it just took off, and then they scrambled, but they're like, man, it didn't really work, and then they saw this, so they probably was like, we need to get on this before Overwatch 2 comes out. We need to make sure we have something that does even better. And then Overwatch 2 came out and decided to be Overwatch 2, and everybody didn't like that. And now they're just like left holding these bags. They're like, we just put so much investment into this. We're going to have to release this. Like, I guarantee you these games have been probably in development since like 2016, 2017, something to that point. I guarantee it, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not joking when I say that. Like, there is... Like, major companies take so long to develop games. Like, some of this stuff, you're like, why did they not listen? Because this game has been in development for like 6-7 years before they started trying to correct the ship. So a lot of the games, like we've said before, expect a lot of woke crap, even when they're starting to shift over. Have you noticed that we are almost a week into Pride Month, and a good portion of the casual offenders of the rainbow flag banners have not changed yet. They're catching on.
Yeah.
You know, they're not wanting that flack anymore. And they're trying to be a lot safer and tiptoe around it because they don't want flack right now when their games are collapsing. They're closing studios left and right, and everyone is doing all this crazy crap, but Nintendo has never done any of these weird political nonsense, and they're like, it's games. You know, you could hate their games or whatever you want, kitty, whatever, but they aren't playing these like political nonsense to a point where everyone has to be more involved in the political movement than actually developing a game that wants you engaged. You know, and I think a lot of what we're seeing is just Sony just like, whoa, we better make money back off of this, and just releasing it. Like Concord is probably a game that's been severely outdated. I'm pretty sure we're probably going to see some memes that came out in like 2017 being referenced in this.
All their kits, all their kits are just clones of Overwatch characters too. So it's like
it's not okay. It won't be that bad. I don't think it'll be that bad. I think it'll probably be like a blend between Apex Legends and Overwatch.
No, okay.
Like it'll probably be like that. Like EA though, EA has a habit of that. EA does some carbon copy crap. Man, like remember Dawngate. Everyone remember Dawngate because EA will never want you to remember Dawngate. Like it was just bad. It was literally carbon copies of every League of Legends character. Period. Like there was no changes.
In Overwatch?
No, a game called Dawngate.
No, but a carbon copy of Overwatch or carbon copy of
League of Legends.
League of Legends.
Dawngate was League of Legends copy.
Okay.
So EA's known to do crap like that. I don't think Sony's going to do that same thing with Concord. You will see a lot of similar stuff. We're like, that's very Reinhardt-y.
Yeah. Oh, this is a Tracer clone. Oh, this is
like there's going to be elements of Tracer. There's going to be like, but I don't think it'll be a full-blown Tracer clone. Like it'll be like, that's very suspicious how this one plays like this.
Well, I also remember Gundam Evolution. I forgot about that too. But there's also like the Tracer clone, the Mercy clone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Widowmaker clone and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what's really funny? Like looking at a lot of people just were like, meh. Like nobody really like got excited about anything.
Yeah.
Like there are some memes about how hot the one character from Monster Hunter came out. Konami just completely butchered the Silent Hill and the reasons why the themes were supposed to be. I'm like, well, women didn't need to be that sexy. Like, no, that's literally it's a reflection of his like lust in the game. His psyche. Like it's supposed to be over exaggerated because our minds over exaggerate everything. That's supposed to be the reason right there. But you're like dumbing it down. Like he's gonna be like, man, I want her to be a whore, but not too much, man. I just want to be a little mellow. You know, like that's literally what you're saying with that. Like you're saying that he's a modest guy. Like that's not actually how he's not a good dude.
Yeah.
And those visual representations were supposed to reflect that. Like did you guys not read the source material?
Nope.
Not at all. Even Konami was like, Konami's just like, yeah, that's good. and just like shift their eyes back and forth because they're like, this is going to be really bad. But you know what? We're just going to hire Hit Detection, which is another SBI company that does that dabbles in all the progressive allocations and check boxes and stuff.
No wonder it looks like shit.
Yep. Go figure, right? Hit Detection came in, and suddenly we all recognize what happened. And obviously the one pinned comment on all this stuff was Black Girl Gamer saying, oh, look at this. And I guess all the comments, it proves me right. Blah, blah, blah. Whatever. And honestly, but everyone else is just like, meh. Like, the only game I've seen anybody excited for was, like, Astrobot. Like, that's it. Like genuinely interest is Astrobot.
Oh, it's too
Not
bad
even
they
from
killed
me.
the
I'm just
studio.
literally noticing it. I'm like, huh. I guess they're going to close that studio now, huh? So... And then, of course, all this is happening, and then Sony secretly tells Princess Maker port to be censored on the PlayStation. just behind all that, he's like, well, look at what I'm doing. Also, please cover everything this up right there. Thank you.
Oh,
just stay to play, everyone.
No one's going to be buying it. Nobody cares.
But yeah, no, it was, I wouldn't say it was a bad one, but it was like, it was just, it was more telling to the industry than it was to Sony.
Yeah.
Like, it really was. I was like, man, we're fucked, aren't we? Like,
good. Whatever.
Like, as a AAA company, like, it's gonna collapse, man. Honestly, I do worry because somebody mentioned that it could be a bunch of bank investors picking up all the properties and stuff, and then they will have enough money and leverage to buy up all the indies if the crash does happen. And... That's also concerning because basically that will basically mean that everyone's EA. You know what I mean? Like that'll be messed up. It almost feels like that would make sense why it feels almost deliberate why they're trying to like just take these companies so they can just buy up everything.
We've been right about everything so far.
I hate being right because I'm very pessimistic.
Well, I wish we were wrong.
But I'm right.
I wish we were wrong.
I wish I was so wrong, man.
Because the industry would be good. Yeah.
Because that would mean the industry is in a much healthier state. Holy crap, my friends. Holy crap. But is there any other things you would like to add to that at all?
I mean, there's like the other couple of games. Let me see real quick.
You're like, there was plenty of games. I was like, I glanced through it, like there was nothing that really caught my eyes.
Well, I mean, like, you know the whole flashy 3D bullshit effects too. Yep. But I don't know. Ballad of Antera, the Legend of Zelda, right? Not Legend of Zelda, but I have a feeling it's an MMO because like most of the characters you see, you're like, oh, this is gonna be a single player narrative game. And then I scroll down the comments and like, oh, when it's free to play, I don't want to touch it. I'm like, yeah, those were classes they were showing, not characters.
Yeah. Oh.
So it's like, damn, get something good. And then Where Wind Meets looks pretty decent. It looks like a what is it? China's Dark Souls, basically. We'll see how they do it. I was kind of hoping they would do the more what is it? The whole like string wire type of Chinese
type
of movies,
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon type of
stuff. Yeah, but no, it's just Dark Souls with Chinese characters. I'm curious to how they're gonna do it, but yeah, we'll see.
They should really go ham-fisted in that type of culture. Honestly.
They should have.
Honestly, like if people keep saying, "Oh, that's just aged and it's just not. It won't vibe with the rest of the world." I'm like, no, double down on it. Literally, the way Chinese movies were because of the weird overreactive acrobatics because of the string wires and stuff like that. Dude, they should literally double down on that. That was like their movie culture. Like, no, it's ours, and they should have. Honestly, I would like shit. All right, fine, I'll give it a go. You know, like it's kind of like how India sometimes just doubles down on their Bollywood stuff. Like,
I love it. Yeah,
dude. Like people are like, oh, that's off color. I'm like, dude, you were never in India. A lot of these Indians people are like, no, it's great. Yeah, like it is so ridiculous, dude. What's his name? Dollar Mendy. Like. You know the viral music video he did called
Tune.
He used to have a lot of women in a lot of his music videos, so they would always drill him about it.
Yeah.
So he went to full Bollywood and just him in multiple colors, and just that's his music. There you go. And it just like everybody's like, you know what? Bravo, and it just took off. So like, you should double down.
Embrace
on that
your
crap.
culture.
Double down, man. Like, if anybody's like, well, what if some European made a game about an eagle that eats cheeseburgers to regain health and uses guns? I'm like, I would buy.
Give me
2.
10. Yeah.
I was like, I'd buy 2. I'll buy my whole group of friends, like a couple of them. If the guy explodes by screaming freedom and going to fireworks when it dies, I would do that. Don't you even start. That would be my shit.
Exactly.
So, anything else?
That's about it really for the state of play. So
Yeah, it was not that great, but you know, can't have all winners. But apparently Sony doesn't like those either. So,
well, even then though too, like, just support your game, back your game. I see stuff where like Nintendo's like, this is in your face 24/7, and then you see like, oh, here's a AAA game that everybody knows about, and we're gonna give you ads about it nonstop. When it's like, no, help your little guys too. Help your original IPs. I don't know.
yeah, well, they did that with ARMS. They did that with Endless Ocean not long ago too. And then Paper Mario came out, and then like, what Ocean?
But yeah, Sony just doesn't really give a shit. It's like,
they're just hoping to ride on their brand alone, because they did it for so long. Honestly, I think they've done it for so long. That's all they know.
That is true. Like, look how non-Nintendo we are. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's honestly what it is. And now, because of that, they've been selling on the brand alone, that a lot of their niche titles are like, we need to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And honestly, I won't put it past them if some small company like Falcom will eventually make a decision, probably not soon, but make a decision that out of all the consoles, they're going to stick with Nintendo first, if not exclusively.
Okay.
I mean, barring the PC games. I think they'll still make the PC versions of stuff, but I wouldn't be surprised if that is happening 4 or 5 years down the road, because this is just genuinely weirdly isolated to a lot of the niche games that Sony used to do or support.
Yeah.
So it's getting weird out there, friends, but honestly, it's getting really excited. I'm actually kind of excited to see what Nintendo might do, because the State of Play was basically their E3, so Nintendo Direct is right around the corner somewhere, people. Turn on the hype train and stuff, because honestly, no other company I'm not hyped for anymore. Like, that's the only one. It's them and Devolver. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all it is, my friends. That is all it is. So I'd like to thank you all for listening to our random rants and stuff about this last few weeks' events. If you like our content, feel free to like, subscribe, share, maybe even fondle that bell if you're feeling frisky. And as always,
we will see you on the other side.
Hey everyone, this is Paraka.
And Ghost.
I'd like to say thank you for listening to our podcast.
If you like our content, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe and share our video with your friends.
You can also follow and support us on other social media such as Minds and Rumble. Links in the description below.